do feel that there's just this common misconception amongst women that
Mhm.
feel that anything outside of the scope of just like whey protein and water enhancers with BCAAs and pre-workout, it's like anything else, it's not for us. It's for
Yeah.
men. It's to build muscle. We don't want to get big and bulky. We want to be lean and sculpted.
Creatine inherently, women actually have less stored in their bodies. Men have more because men have more skeletal muscle than women. And so I would actually beg to differ that maybe women actually need creatine a little bit more than men because men naturally have more stored in. For women specifically around menstrual cycles, creatine can be actually a little bit more important specifically for those things. But more oftentimes than not, creatine is used for performance, not muscle growth, performance. It doesn't make muscle grow. It just helps your body perform. The better you perform, you can grow.
You need to make sure you're eating with them, drinking lots of water. Like you're not supposed to live off of supplements. No.
Yeah. So the best thing about supplements is understand that they are supplemental.
Welcome back, you guys, to another episode of the Beyond the Scale podcast. I am your host, Mary Katherine, and I am so excited about today's guest. I actually met today's guest in Chino Hills when I was visiting Fit Body Boot Camp's headquarters. I was there for a few days doing some work. I was working out at BK Strength, which is the founder of Fit Body Boot Camp's personal gym, Bedros Koulian, his personal gym. And I'm working out, and there is this guy pumping iron beside me. And I introduce myself. Turns out he is super cool dude, super knowledgeable in the supplement world, the supplement space, and men's performance. And we just got to chatting, and I was like, you know what? He has so much great knowledge. I'm going to bring him on the show. So today's guest, we have Santiago, who is a sports supplement specialist and a men's performance coach. He owns, operates, and consults for multiple large supplement companies in the US. He has over 15 years of experience in the dietary supplement industry, ranging from retail, formulations, contract manufacturing, procurement, marketing, health, and functional fitness. Santiago has helped over thousands of clients, varying from beginners to professional competitors. And he did all of this while scaling and renovating one of the largest brick and mortar nutrition store chains across Texas. His impact and knowledge is substantial in the vitamin retail space and continues to be a model of success. He has been featured in iHeartMedia, Univision, and Fox News San Antonio for his knowledge in health and supplementation. So welcome, Santiago, or Santi, as we were talking off the show. Welcome so much, or welcome to the podcast.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mary. I appreciate having me on, and hopefully we can get some good education for you and your people today.
Yes, I know we will. I know we will. And I have so many questions myself. Full transparency, I didn't start using supplements until I started as a client at Fit Body Boot Camp, which
Uh,
was 7 years ago now. But at the time, it was like all I'd ever heard of was protein, creatine, or like all of the supplements that you hear like these professional bodybuilders
yeah,
taking.
the bro science stuff.
Right, the bro science that you shouldn't be taking.
Yeah,
But for me, I'm like, oh, I don't want to get big and bulky. I'm not taking supplements.
yeah.
And that was the misconception that I had back in the day. But before we even get into that, I want to chat a little bit about how you got into the supplement space.
The way I got into the supplement space is a very unique path. So second generation Mexican American, and when I was getting to high school, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but I knew that I needed to go to college and learn some skills as the best thing that I could do to put a good foot forward. And I've always been a science guy. Science, I just inherently just very curious by nature, and science is, it's analytical. It is what it is. And so I got my degree in nuclear medicine at UIW, and it wasn't up until the latter years of college in my nuclear medicine program that I started working in the hospital with people. And I was always a fitness guy. I been lifting weights since I was like in like seventh grade. Sports, football, track, wrestling. So physical was always a cool thing. Karate at one point. So I understood the body, I liked it, but it wasn't until the hospital where I realized, people are sick and they're unhealthy. And, when pharmaceuticals come in, how do those pharmaceuticals work in the body and what are they doing? And it's called a mechanism of action. And I started kind of getting into the weeds on stuff like that, on how do things work once they get into our body. And then we mix a little bit of health and we mix a little bit of fitness. And I realized that, hey, maybe this is something, I can do. And so after I graduated with college, I moved back down to Corpus Christi, where I'm originally from here in Texas. And my school was in San Antonio at the university. And I went back down home to Corpus for some family reasons. And I was always a worker, and I was working part time until I found a position in nuclear medicine there in Corpus. And I started part time at a nutrition store. It was just supposed to be a part time gig, nothing serious, and part time led to full time, led to um, running the largest store at the time, to partnering with the founder and scaling. When I entered that company, we were at 4 locations. When I exited that company, we were at 28 locations. And so it's one of the largest brick and mortars in Texas. And but the big thing about it is we're very customer centric. And so that's where I was able to really just start utilizing my degree, my knowledge, my desire, from servicing people, but honestly, really helping and educating. I felt there was a big void in the supplement industry where a lot of people just don't know much about supplements. And it's like, how do you sift through all the marketing and all of the stuff online and what's good and what's not good? Because everybody's stuff is apparently the best stuff ever. And well, I figured let's take a science approach to it. Let's take a service approach to it, and let's make sure we take a health approach to it. And so, long story, but navigated my way this way, and I've stayed in this industry ever since.
Wow. Now, that's awesome. What's your favorite part, would you say, in like what you do in your day to day? What's your favorite part about all this?
So, in this phase of my life, I've moved on to now helping companies create and make more compliant and more unique products to come to the market. And so now I'm on a different side of the fence. I used to be in front of people on the retail side. I probably shake well over 10,000 hands at this point, from all different types of walks of life that are coming in, doing their in-body analysis, etc., really get into the weeds of the physiology and how to help them. And I would have all these questions when people come in. I would exactly hear what the female was asking for, what the mother was asking for, what the father was asking for, what the college kid was asking for. And, they all had their own different perspectives of supplementation. And so this point in time right now, what I get a lot of joy in is coming more in the driver's seat and doing the formulations and creating products that I know are going to actually add value to the supplement or the dietary supplement industry. And simultaneously, people have a desire to make a brand or make a supplement line or whatever the case, or bring a product to market. It can get kind of complicated out there. And so I'm a lighthouse for those individuals where they're like, hey, I want to create. And I pretty much make it ABC. And I take their thought from their mind, their baby, and I hand it to them into 90 to 120 days. I hand them their product or their company, ready to go to market. And so for me, that makes me happy because I'm doing the nerdy formulation stuff. I know it's quality because if I do anything, it's going to be quality. And I know that all the people that are going to be taking those products from that brand, they're going to be taking good quality stuff. And that makes me feel good that like we're putting good things out there in the market.
I love how you said like everybody thinks their brand is the best. Like, how do you deal with that? So if you're making, let's say you have like 5 customers that all want to make a similar product, what do you do in that situation?
So the best thing to do is, I would look at this like as nobody can be a better Mary than Mary.
Yeah.
So, right. So it's individualistic in regards to the eye is the beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And so let's just say an amino acid product, right? I can make 5 different amino acid products, but they might have different attributes. And so let's say if I'm making Mary's amino acid product, something that might be really important to Mary and her audience and her people is not only just the aminos, but I really want a lot of hydration in here. My clients are doing a lot of HIIT training. They're doing a lot of cardiovascular activities, and I really don't want them cramping, and I want to make them extra hydrated. And I also want this nuance, right? And so that's the cool thing, is that when you do formulations and you make it custom, you can customize the nooks and the angles of the product. It'll still have its core of whatever it's supposed to be, of course, but now it's different. And the reason I like that, it also creates differentiation in the market, because it's, hey, well, I have this product, but mine has this, and not very many people have this.
Right.
They get to stand out.
I like that. Yeah, everyone has their own little unique thing. And I would say too, like branding and the marketing, it's going to be different too. So I'm sure there's so many supplements out there that are, if you really looked at them, probably almost the
Yeah,
same. The way they market it and the way they brand it and who they market it to might be unique to that brand.
100%. And you said, like, what's the best, right? Like, everybody's got the best. What I used to tell a lot of customers is, your best might not be the next person's best, because your needs might be different than the next person's needs. And
Right.
so what is best for you might not necessarily be what's best for the next, because they might have some different goals, or some different things that they want to bring in. And different people, different goals, different products.
Yeah, that's a wonderful segue into my next question, which is, so our clients at Fit Body Bootcamp, they're always asking what supplements should they be taking, which supplements should they be leaving. So if you are speaking to a new client, they're coming into the gym, they just started working out, or maybe they're a seasoned boot camper, they've been working out, but they're new to supplementation. What are some supplements that you would suggest that we start looking into? And maybe next we'll get to what supplements could we maybe not worry about.
Yeah. A good lens that I like to say, people can kind of look at supplements, because there are a lot of products out there. The best way to kind of, compartmentalize all of this is, I look at it three ways. And so, one, we need nutrition, right? And so if somebody's exercising, we understand they're breaking down muscle tissue, and they probably need, proper diet intake, and we want to get everything from their whole foods, but we need to be conscious of nutrition, and that could be macronutrition, it could be micronutrition, but it needs to be a nutrition aspect into their supplement regimen. So if they're going to bring anything, the most common is a protein, something that's going to be giving their body some additional protein. Skeletal muscle is made of protein. They're breaking it down when they train. Let's make sure that we're giving the body what it needs to repair itself, but keeping a good, healthy diet, right? So one is a nutrition. That's a category. Find what best suits you in that category based off of dietary restrictions, sensitivities, on and so forth. Two would be a performance product. So something that you would take before or during your exercise session that allows your body to perform a little better, right? Now, that could be different for individuals. Some people want a little more energy. Some people might want a little bit of some heat factor. Some people want maybe some hydration because they cramp up. Whatever the case is, but it's something that you would consume or take before or during your workout to help your body's performance for the duration of that workout session, right? And then third would be a goal-oriented product. And that is, we're all working out for something. We want to do something. Some people are trying to trim the waistline down a little bit. Some people are trying to put on a little bit of lean muscle. Whatever the case is, there's typically some goals in mind. And so try to have a third category, a third product that is a little bit more conscious of, this product is designed to help my body something for that goal, right? And so it would be nutrition, something for performance to help your body perform better. And then three would be something goal oriented. So that way we are trying to make some progress in whatever the goals are. But those would be the three categories, if that answers the question right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. And for all of you listeners, we'll put that in the show notes so that when you're going back and like listening to this, if you want to take notes or think about what supplementation that you want to introduce to your life, to try to stick to those three categories. Now, specific to those three categories, I want to throw some supplements out there that some of our clients are taking and get your opinion on them. So for me, like I take whey protein, like I use whey protein most days because I struggle to get, I try to get 120 to 130 grams of protein per day. And sometimes I struggle to get that just from like my meat and my eggs and my, the normal food, my diet that I stick to. So I use my whey protein. But I recently started using some other supplements that I get mixed reviews on, and I'd love to hear your opinion. So
I
one of them is collagen. I've been using collagen. I put it in my coffee. I have like a collagen creamer,
Yep.
and I have seen some stuff on social media that says collagen does nothing. And then on the other hand, I see some stuff that says collagen's great. Everyone should take it every day. So what's your opinion on it?
Collagen is good. It's something that the body will technically do. So when I look at something, an ingredient or whatever the case is the body going to benefit from it, right? Does the body already produce it? Are you deficient in it?
Mhm.
We have ample amounts already naturally in food. So there's a couple of things there, but collagen is great. Now, protein, collagen and protein, basically you can kind of bundle those two together. But when we separate collagen on itself, the big thing about it is you have to understand the types of collagen. There's collagen type 1, type 2, and type 3. So the better question is, what are you taking collagen for? What do you think you're taking collagen for? Because the different types have different benefits. And so if you're somebody that just wants healthy hair and skin, you might be taking a different type than somebody is looking for joint repair or something to help out for joint and ligament control. So it's again, it's always what are you taking it for is the big thing. Collagen, the only thing about collagen that I'll say is that um, when I see a lot of people mix it in coffee, right? And ain't no wrong with the good old cup of Joe, right?
You
But
can tell me if that's not good. You won't hurt my
yeah,
feelings.
no, it's not that it's not good, right? More oftentimes than not, people drink hot coffee, okay, and then they pour creamer in there. When you apply the collagen to something hot, it doesn't even have to be collagen, it can be protein, you're denaturing that substance once you've put it into the heat because heat breaks. Heat makes molecules move very fast. And you don't want to pre-digest or break things and kind of denature it before you consume it. And so I would say if you do collagen in coffee, try to do iced coffee, not hot coffee. So you don't denature your protein or your collagen.
I've been wasting so much money over the last couple of months with this collagen. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
just get it like room temperature, lukewarm, just not hot coffee. It kind of you're diminishing the effects a little bit.
Okay, this is great. This is great. Okay, another one that I use every night, magnesium. I've been like strong on my magnesium game for a long time. Yay, nay, good for
Good,
women.
good for women, good for men and women. It's zinc is typically coupled with magnesium pretty often. Those are kind of some good trade. Those are some good cornerstone trace minerals, mineral support. And so there's a mineral that one's kind of a big widespread. So when you get to some of these minerals or their vitamins, they'll have like a laundry list of potential benefits, right? It just depends again what you're trying to benefit from. There's some sleep benefits. There's even, women do make testosterone. So just all women out there, you do produce testosterone. Us men, we do produce estrogen. But zinc and magnesium are also good testosterone hormone support in general. So it's good for hormone support. It's a transmitter. There's a lot of benefits to it. But yeah, magnesium is great. 100% keep it into the regimen.
Yeah, okay, awesome. All right, one that I don't know too much about is creatine. Creatine for women.
So creatine for women. So it's funny. I take creatine daily, right? And so a big misconception with creatine is that it's for bulking
Right.
and it's for men and this whole bro science stuff. The truth is that creatine is it's natural, meaning our bodies do produce some of it. It is stored in the muscle tissue. And the way creatine works and the benefits of creatine is it actually helps out what's called your fast twitch muscles. So anything that is short burst or quick movement, hit training, anything that is going to be fast twitch muscle oriented, that's what creatine does. And so when let's say you're doing squats and you go 8, 9, and like, man, that 10th one is a struggle, right? You kind of gas out. Well, really what happened is your muscles gassed out of cellular energy, right? That's why you have no longer energy to do the 10th rep. And so what creatine does is it comes in and it restores what's called ATP, which is energy. And so basically when you do that rep, you use energy. Well, that energy gets used up. Creatine comes along and it attaches itself to that used energy and it restores it back to ATP. So ATP, DP, I don't want to get too sciencey, but basically it restores muscle cell energy. And so what happens is instead of you getting tired, now you go 9, 10, 11, maybe 12. What happens there? Well, most people oftentimes when they're doing weight resistance training, they like to see a little bit of a progress in the number department and then also in the power and strength department. Well, the way you do that is load and more repetitions. And so if you can take something that's natural, that your body will take in and will actually help your body's ability to go a little bit longer in the endurance side of working out, that's super helpful. And there's actually a study, Dr. Gabrielle was mentioning this recently, is there's some new studies that had came out. Creatine is actually beneficial for cognition and mood enhancement. And for women specifically around menstrual cycles, creatine can be actually a little bit more important specifically for those things. But more oftentimes than not, creatine is used for performance, not muscle growth, performance. It doesn't make muscle grow. It just helps your body perform. The better you perform, you can grow.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. A question about that though is many women hormone support supplements that I see today, and this is a question about creatine specific, but like creatine, does it have um a caffeine stimulant or anything in it that would keep people awake at night or make them feel like revved up after their workout?
No, so creatine does not have a stimulatory effect. Creatine, it's stored in the muscle. Our body does make it endogenously within our own bodies. If somebody has a rich red meat diet, they're ingesting creatine. So steak, if you eat steak, you're ingesting a little bit of creatine there. So no, not at all. Now, as far as it's the creatine product that you're taking, is it being given in conjunction with other ingredients in that product? Then of course you might, I would
Yeah.
recommend people look at that. But no, not at all. It's not designed to do that, and it's natural, no stimulant effects, and there's really no negative effects unless you start consuming too much of that. But if anything overdone in consumption could be bad, of course, right? But very natural product.
Yeah. I do feel that there's just this common misconception amongst women that
Mhm.
feel that anything outside of the scope of just like whey protein and water enhancers with BCAAs and pre-workout, it's like anything else, it's not for us, it's for
Yeah,
men, it's to build muscle. We don't want to get big and bulky. We want to be lean and sculpted.
yeah,
So that's what I would hope this episode today, like,
yeah,
educate some of our listeners on is like, don't be scared to try these things.
yeah.
But at the same time, what are some supplements that you do maybe see people taking that aren't as important or that maybe we shouldn't be taking? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Something that should be taking.
Women.
Um, Something that I would probably say should be taking, at least maybe in the female department. A couple of things. One, and to the creatine point, why I do think creatine would be a good addition is just so your listeners know, creatine inherently women actually have less stored in their bodies. Men have more because men have more skeletal muscle than women, and so I would actually beg to differ that maybe women actually need creatine a little bit more than men because men naturally have more stored in. Men naturally need a lot more red meat rich diets. So just something to consider in that department. But protein is a big one. I don't think enough females out there are being conscious of protein. When it comes to protein, what you want to do is you definitely want to look at the other ingredients at the bottom, and you want to look at what that protein is sourced from. And so if again, it's relative to the goals, but if you want something clean, lean, high purity, maybe weight loss or just a lean individual, you want to go with what's called a whey isolate or whey hydrolysate. You just think of the eights, hydrolysate or isolate. Those are going to be the clean, the lean, and the high purity. You're not typically, it's not going to come with a bunch of carbs and fats because it's very clean and it's very lean. So women need to get a little bit more protein in, and just remember protein. Your hairs, your nails, your skin, your organs, everything's made of protein.
Mhm.
And women are known to have very nice hair and nice nails, right? And so you need that protein coming in. Two, GI. And there's a lot of women out there that their GI health is not the best. There's a lot of things that go on in the women's bodies, but I'm a big believer in probiotics. And probiotics are basically bacteria. We bring that in as good bacteria. And it actually goes down and it helps twofold. One, it helps digestion, but two, it helps you enrich what's called your natural flora, which is your body's immune system down in your gut. And so the probiotics come in here. Not only does it help for digestion and movement, but it also helps on keeping your immune system strong for your GI tract or for your gut. So second would be digestion. And then third, I'd probably say a good multivitamin, something that kind of sweeps all of your micros. You'll have a lot more variety of hormones that like to fluctuate. And so there's a good panel of some of these micro ingredients like the magnesium and stuff. These are your micros, not the big proteins and the carbs and the fats. These are the A's, the B's, the magnesiums, the seleniums. This is basically going to sweep all of this. And I have a lot of people that be like, well, if I take a multivitamin and I go and use the restroom and it's bright yellow, does that mean I'm just getting all these multivitamins out of my system? And it's one, I mean, the body, if it doesn't need something, it will excrete that thing. But here's the kicker: unless you're doing like a panel test and where all your micro levels are, the best way to look at a multivitamin is that, let's just say you have a bunch of little pitfalls and ups and rises. The multivitamin is just meant to level everything out, just to make sure that you're good, even in all deficits or areas of the body. And then anything that's not needed, then the body will excrete. But it's better to top it all off and make sure that you're taken care of internally on a daily basis, because some of those other vitamins, for your eyes and nerves and brain health and heart health, some of these things that you should just probably just bring it in, into a multivitamin.
I love that. I love how you mentioned balancing it out because, like, as a mom and an entrepreneur, like, there's no balance in my life. There's some really high days and really low days. And I know a lot of our listeners are like that, is like their life is like a roller coaster, not a merry-go-round. And so it's like, if they can do anything at all to balance something out and stay consistent with their supplementation, then hopefully over time we'll feel a little bit better and it'll make us at least have something that we feel good about. So I love
Yes,
that you mentioned that.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah, I love that you mentioned that. So another question that I just thought of as you're talking about balancing is
Yeah.
um personal experience. I had extensive blood work done, some blood panels done about a year ago. And one thing that was a red flag was my cortisol levels. And so I started kind of working on that over the last year. And I know a lot of our listeners, a lot of our clients at the gym, they are moms, they are busy, they're on the go all the time, and their cortisol levels are off too. And a lot of that is related to our hormones and our daily life and our nutrition and even our exercise routine. It's everything that we surround ourselves with and that we put in our body. Is there anything that you would suggest to someone that may be listening right now who struggles with their cortisol levels being very high? Is there anything that you would suggest to help with that?
Um, I always go lifestyle first. So definitely to your point, like, you got all this stuff in, but I'm pretty sure I know that, we met each other in the gym, which means I know that you are physically active, of course, right, with the Fit Body Boot Camps. And so lifestyle is a big thing, right? And so if we're not doing something that is an outlet for cortisol, aka stress hormone, then it stays bundled up. And the unfortunate thing about cortisol is that the studies show that the cortisol, it's specifically, this is one of the very few that is anything specific. Cortisol specifically increases belly button fat. So that is adipose tissue or fat tissue that's specifically in the midsection when it goes up. And so, and naturally, women do have a little bit more cortisol naturally, but of course, your environment can stress induce and make your cortisol go up, man or women, of course, right? And so, with cortisol, the best way is lifestyle. So figure out some things to kind of help balance. Maybe that's a jog, where it's some good mental health. It's an outlet of some sort, or removing negative things that trigger your stress. That'd be a lifestyle. But then two, ashwagandha, KSM 66 is a trademark. That is a purity standard for specifically for ashwagandha. And so the cool thing about trademarks, if your listeners don't know, is when you have a product and you kind of flip it over, and it'll have an ingredient, but it'll have a logo next to it of where that the company's name. That is really cool because that lets you know it's a trademark and it's more than likely patent. And what that means is that company now has to adhere to the purity and the testing levels to make sure that that product or that ingredient is meeting quality standards 100% of the time, every single time, which means you know what you're getting every time. You're getting quality. And so KSM 66 ashwagandha is a very well known, it's called an adaptogen, and it actually helps battle stress and cortisol. Some studies that show it helps with your endocrine system, which is your hormone system. It can help with even like libido, men and women, a little bit on the calmer side for that. But a lot of people use it for a stress factor because it's an adaptogen. So KSM 66, some ashwagandha,
Mhm.
natural. And if you got a lot of cortisol, get some exercise in and get some ashwagandha in.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And like most of our listeners, like me, it's like you always want that quick fix. And if there's anything I've learned about health and fitness and just taking care of yourself, it's like it's a lifelong journey. It's not going to happen overnight. And sometimes, like, you don't think you're stressed, but then you look back in your life and you're like, yeah, I am really stressed. And
That was a
like,
really stressful weekend. Yeah, I
yeah,
got
like it takes time and consistency. So for another question that I just thought of is, when someone starts taking supplements, let's just use a multivitamin, for
you.
example. How long does it take to start noticing a benefit from supplementation?
Um, that's a hard question to answer, like in a general sense, because it depends again what the supplement is, and then what they're looking for.
Yeah.
If it's a stimulant-based product, I mean, you'll notice it within 30 minutes, right? And for a performance product, but like for instance, like a multivitamin, there's not stimulants in a multivitamin, but after taking it, at least for a multivitamin, at least I would say for about the first week, letting your body get acclimated to having resources on hand to do what it needs to do with those ingredients. I'd say within about the first week, but it's not going to be a stimulant aspect where you take it and you feel ruhad, but you might notice better sleep. You might notice less stress. You might notice better craving control, like different things, right? It just depends on what's in this multivitamin. But yeah, you should probably, with something non-stimulant, you should notice it within probably the first week, depending on what it's kind of supposed to do. But that's the cool thing about with supplements and fitness is once you start exercising and once you start putting focus on yourself and on your body, you start to pay attention to yourself a lot more. And so
Yeah.
when you bring supplementation into the mix, well, you're focusing on yourself. And so when these things come in, most oftentimes than not, they're kind of conscious already about, am I feeling this thing? Is it working? I'm taking this for this benefit. So that's the cool thing about exercise is that it actually causes somebody to start focusing and loving on themselves. And when they begin to do that, anything else that they're bringing into the mix, it kind of is in sync with that. And so that's the cool thing. So, but yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that you bring that up because we talk about that a lot of Fit Body is like it all goes hand in hand. Like you don't see a lot of people that have like a morning, midday, and nighttime supplement routine who are just doing fast food all day long and like not working. Like people are taking care of their nutrition and they're taking care of their fitness. Everything goes hand in hand. And like as long as you're taking one step in front of the other and keep going on that path and being consistent with it, it's going to get easier over time and they all just go together and they start stacking up.
So, question. So, like, what do you see when you have people that come to you via like social media because they know that you're into the fitness world and industry, or people that are coming to like fit bodies? What are some common like questions that you get in regards to like either a category of supplements or like a specific supplement that you know like it's just like overbearing? Like you always get this question for supplements.
Yeah. Well, one that comes to mind, I wouldn't say like I always get this question, but I've seen a lot of it recently, especially with like the surfacing of like the Ozempic and the weight loss injections, is people are interested in that. They're interested in A, do I qualify? B, even if I did qualify, should I take it? Will it make a difference? And then also like fat burner pills. I'm seeing a lot of people ask questions about those. There are many, many companies, like very well known companies, that offer a quote unquote fat burner pill now that have like the caffeine in it. They also say that they help regulate women's hormones. And so women are curious about that. They're wondering, should they take it? Or if they do start taking it, for how long? So maybe you could speak on those two things.
Yeah. So my take on like fat burner pills, right? Just like the old rudimentary term fat burner pill typically comes to mind. It's some type of capsule that's going to have stimulants and caffeine and some type of ingredients that's
Right.
supposed to help
Expressant.
burn body fat, right? And so I'm not really a fat burner pill advocate, but what I am a big advocate for is a goal-oriented product that helps metabolize or speed up how your body metabolizes fat, because all fat is stored energy. And so if you can tell the body to break something down, and it doesn't require a stimulatory effect. Caffeine is good. It is a natural thermogenic, meaning it does heat up your core temperature. When core temperature does rise, the body is under the understanding that it's doing some type of physical activity. Therefore, your body should naturally kick in and maybe start trying to burn a little more calories because it thinks it's physically active. So there is some premise to like the stimulant aspect, but I'm more of like a hardline science guy. Like, L-carnitine is a great ingredient. It's natural, but what it does is it helps transport, fatty acids into the muscle cell, so the muscle actually utilizes the fat as energy because it is as energy. Typically, the body wants to go sugar first, carbs next, lipids or fats last because they're the biggest. L-carnitine is cool because it kind of bypasses that process and gets the fat right into the muscle cell. So you can start burning body fat, right? Or really metabolizing body fat. So I'm a big advocate for things that help your body metabolize body fat or help wake up your thyroid, which actually controls your body's metabolism as well. And you can do this all without having any kind of energy effects.
Mhm.
It's kind of like the unfortunate thing about like the supplement industry. It's kind of like, you know, everybody knows body fat is like a thing, and so they kind of prey on this like fancy dancy fat burner pill to get the results that they know everybody wants. But the truth is it's kind of old and outdated in my opinion. And so things that are going to help metabolize body fat, that should be the product that you're looking for, as long as it's in alignment with your goal, which would probably be to trim the waistline down a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. And one thing that I don't like to see is companies that are bundling too much together into one thing. So for me personally, I was taking like a thyroid supplement a few years back, and it had all of these other benefits too. But one of the things it had in it that I didn't like was it had like 80 grams of milligrams of caffeine. And like I was drinking coffee in the morning and I was having other caffeine sources. So it's like midday, I was like revved up and I'm like ready, all day long. And so I stopped taking it. And it was like, I kept finding these supplements that had too much packed into one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's, in my opinion, and I can't say because I don't, I pray every company out there is putting good thought into it. But the premise I believe is that they're trying to give you some caffeine or stim effects. You feel something, and the question is what are the other ingredients that are
Yeah.
supposed to be active in regards to doing something? More oftentimes than not, unfortunately, if they don't have somebody that is a true formulations guy on the back end, it's really a big mix of a lot of stimulatory effects. We can stimulate the body, and it doesn't just have to be caffeine. There's other receptors that can hit and other things that you can take that you're like, man, I feel lit up, because there's other stuff in addition to the caffeine sprinkled with maybe one ingredient that does something. So the big thing about it is definitely flip the label over. And what I would recommend for everybody is don't look for what's called a proprietary blend. Okay, especially in that department. A proprietary blend means all these ingredients, they all weigh X amount of milligrams, right? And so we don't really know of those 10 ingredients how much substance is coming from each one ingredient. You just know that all 10 ingredients weigh X amount. That's
Mhm.
called a proprietary blend. What you want to look for is a true transparency, where when you see an ingredient, you can trace it. That's how much milligrams I'm getting. But you want to be able to do that line for every ingredient. Because to your point, maybe you're taking a product that has caffeine, but you also have your cup of morning Joe with collagen in the morning, right? And so now you need to be conscious of the 80 milligrams of caffeine that you're adding to your 150 milligrams of caffeine, but you wouldn't be able to truly be able to make that decision for yourself if
Right.
it's all in a proprietary and you have this goal and you're popping this pill because you're trying to get the benefits and you don't understand why you feel this way. When you have a full breakdown or non-proprietary, you can actually see everything. And truthfully is you should be knowing exactly what you're putting in the supplement industry. I know there's a lot of, abs and arms and, marketed in the industry, but, I take it real personal. This is something that you're actually ingesting and you're putting it in your body. It's just the most intimate thing is internally within our own bodies. And, you want to be conscious of it and at least be able to make a valid decision of what you're actually purchasing and consuming in your own body. So, yeah, I'm a big believer in transparency.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. And for all of you listeners, supplements are supplements for nutrition in your life. You're not going to live off supplements alone. And I will say there are many supplements out there, especially some of the multivitamin packs. Like you do need to eat food with it. I have taken the multivitamins that I take. You really do need to take them on a full stomach. One time I took my multivitamin pack before getting on an airplane. I hadn't had breakfast yet. I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm gonna need to go to the
So,
bathroom and
so
throw up."
nauseous, right? Like a big
Not
knot in
just
the
yeah.
stomach.
You have to
Yeah.
watch some of the supplements. Like you need to make sure you're eating with them, drinking lots of water. Like you're not supposed to live off of supplements. No.
Yeah. So the best thing about supplements is uh, understand that they are supplemental, meaning
Yes.
they're designed to supplement your lifestyle and, of course, your diet. So even protein shakes, nothing wrong with protein shakes. Lots of quality product and, it's good sourced, but, grass fed, isolate, even better, right? But the big thing about it is understanding like what you're putting in and that it's not supposed to replace food. It's supposed to supplement with your food. That's a big thing. A lot of people put too much emphasis on a pill to do all this work. It's supposed to assist, not a
Place.
magic pill.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Santi, all of this was so great. And on Beyond the Scale, we talk about anything from fitness to nutrition to mindset and how just living your life not according to a number and not according to a metric or anybody's definition of what health and fitness and just looking and feeling like your best self looks like not defining that by anybody else's terms. One thing that I love to ask all of my guests is what does living a life beyond the scale mean to you?
Well, that's a great question. I think living beyond the scale, the way I would interpret that and kind of live through that is there's more to it than just a number on the scale. And meaning, when we exercise and we're doing physical fitness and we're actually being conscious of what we're putting into our body, we're living a lifestyle of health. Um, you're going to get more out of it than just a number on the scale, right? It's beyond the scale, to your point, right? Because what you're actually doing is you're teaching yourself routine, you're teaching yourself habit, you're teaching yourself delayed gratification, you're teaching yourself self-confidence, self-love. These are all these things that come back at us when we start to feed ourselves. And one of the best ways to feed ourselves is to feed ourselves in the physicality sense, because when we're exercising, when we're doing things, endorphins and good hormones are being released, right? And then we feel good. And I don't want that bad thing. I want to make this good thing. Decision on the food department, and one decision leads to another. By the time you know it, fitness is just so much more than fitness. It becomes to kind of have an array of different effects into life. And so 100% fitness and life is beyond the scale, because when you start doing more things that you're pouring into yourself in the physicality sense, you'll notice a big array of different benefits that you'll be getting that are definitely beyond the number that you're seeing on the scale.
I love that so much. Well, I know that our listeners are going to get so much value from this episode. Where can people find you and learn more about what you're doing?
You can find me on social media. I'm most present on Instagram, Santiago.Campos1. And if anybody listening has any questions on supplementation, what to take, hey, I'm taking this product. Could you take a look at it? Shoot me a DM. I'm super helpful. I get tons of questions all the time from individuals that are saying, hey, what should I take? Or, hey, I'm taking this product. If I can be of service and help anybody, that's what I'm here to do.
Awesome. Well, Santi, thank you so much. This was awesome. You're awesome. You're doing so many cool things, and I know you're just getting started. So I can't wait to see everything that you're developing right now and see where you go from here.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'm excited. And thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Beyond the Scale podcast. As always, please make sure to follow us on YouTube, check us out on Apple Podcast and Spotify, and share this episode with all of your friends. Until next time, thanks so much.